Hello everyone. Welcome to the fifth session of the Compose Camp. I hope that you have been enjoying very well about the Compose Camp we had till now. So today we are gonna continue our camping, but this time it will be a bit different because now we are moving a step backward. So we are gonna learn about the Kotlin, and the session is named as the Kotlin 101. So without any further delay, let's begin. Okay. So most of you don't know that Kotlin has been recognized as the official language of the Android for developing Android application, and that is officialized by the Google itself. So what is Kotlin? Basically, it is a new language that is designed and implemented by the Google so that we can develop Android application smoothly. And if you see the current scenario, the most of the industrial applications and the industrial demand requires Kotlin as their major tech stack. Well, there is a bit, we can say that Flutter is also in the business, but Kotlin is also sharing the equal part. So why the new language? So most of you would have known something about the Android. Most of you have started with Java, right? Because there are abundance of resources available in it. However, the language just changed and it got changed to Kotlin. And why is that so? Because we could have developed codes in Java also. So I'll be explaining the reason in the next slide, but for now, I can say that Kotlin is actually simpler, robust, and more optimal than Java in every manner. Besides, since the Google officially launched it under the Apache 2.0 open source license, so this is what Google has been recommending to all the people who are now entering into the field of Android development to use the Kotlin language as the new weapon to eliminate problems in Android development. Okay, so like I was saying that there are a lot of difference between Java and Kotlin and why Java was replaced by Kotlin. So I'll be stating here a few. Of course, there are a lot of differences, but here I will be just stating four of them. And I think this is majorly the important ones. So the first thing is that there are no extension functions available in Java. So those of you who don't have idea about the extension function is basically a function which allows you to create different function and their usability in a class without inheriting them from their parent class. Now, inheritance, like if you have been knowing that if there exists two class and we need to access the function of one class to by the class of another, then we need to just make some scope resolution and inherit it. Okay. But here the problem just got solved by the extension function because now we don't need to inherit it, and this is one of the greatest advantages of switching to Kotlin. Now, the second thing is implicit conversion. Now, implicit conversion basically means updating the current data type to its higher form data type. Like if it is integer, it will get converted to float, or if it is float, then it will get converted to double because double is greater in size than float. So this is what implicit conversion is all about. And implicit conversion is, as the name suggests, implicit because the system or the device automatically does that without the intervention of the coder. So in Java, we did have implicit conversion. Now this is harmful because someone who have just needs some random float variable, for example, like there is a guy and he needs a random float variable, and automatically the data by his device gets converted to double, which is definitely not the required one. So this is definitely not a good user experience, and the coder or the developer would not want his data type to get altered. And to solve this, the Kotlin language does not hold any implicit conversion data types. Hence, the data is safe and there is no chance of the data type and the data itself to get altered here. Now, the third point is the developer needs to define constructor, getter, and setter methods. Now, this thing belongs to that concept of OOPS, that is object-oriented programming. So basically, what we do is a class, we make a class which holds some objects. Okay, like I'm assuming that you are knowing the concept of class, so I'm not getting into deeper of all of it. object-oriented programming. Just I'm explaining the above parts. So what happens is, for example, there is a class or a program that takes in three scores of a user and then returns the average of it. So using setter, like the name suggests, set things up, we can use the setter functions to set the scores to the class. Now we need the average, so we can use the getter function, and constructor is basically initializing the class itself. Like, okay, now the switch is on and now you can do whatever you want with the class. So this is the like layman term I could explain. So now this part of the data classes, that this entire concept of data classes was initially built in other programming languages that supports OOP. However, the problem in Java was that we have to manually design them, and this could be a bit problematic for developers because they don't want enough of their time designing the data classes. In Kotlin, contrary to the other languages like the Java, the Kotlin compiler provides the resource to automatically generate this constructor, getter, and setter functions. Okay, so like we are saving our time and energy, of course. And the fourth point is Java does not allow the language scripting, and Kotlin definitely allows language scripting integration in existing scripts also. Okay, so let's start now diving into the world of Kotlin and just learn the basics of it so that you will be capable enough of designing Android applications, because the compose that we have been teaching till now uses Kotlin. And if you don't know Kotlin, then there's definitely no chance of you getting better in Android development. So let's begin. Okay, so the first thing is variables. Now, if you have studied any programming language ever in your life, then variables are definitely something that you must have come across. Now, to put things in simple, variables are like containers that hold data, and this data can be of different format. Like it could be a string, or an integer, or a decimal, like the float double, etc., etc. So these containers are what are called as variables. And like other languages, we do have our variables here. And in Kotlin, we are provided with two types of these variables. One is the val and another is the var. So the val is basically the containers whose data is stored once and you can never alter them. Okay. So like for example, if you're using val count 0, then you can never do a count plus plus because it is constant forever and count will be 0 forever. Now replace the val with var, that is the second data type provided by the Kotlin. So now you will be able to change, because var as the name derived from variable, now you can change the container's value. Okay, so these two are the types that have been provided by the Kotlin compiler. Okay, now here is a basic example so that you can get familiarized with the declaration of variables using var. So as you can see, I've declared a integer named count using the var keyword and initialize it to 10, and then I can reinitialize it and assign it to count 15. Now what happens is, initially the value of count is 10 and then in the second line it gets updated to 15. So this is why using var you can actually alter the data. But on the other hand, if you replace that var with val, it would be impossible. Here, as you can see, this is a language name and it is Kotlin. And then I'm converting all the letters of the word Kotlin to uppercase. So if you see closely, I'm using one variable, language name, to store the Kotlin word. And I'm using another val keyword and giving another container or the keyword or the data type container uppercase name, and then I'm using the inbuilt string functions. Okay, so inbuilt string functions, like you must be knowing. So using that, I'm converting it to uppercase, and now I'm storing that new uppercase letter words into the uppercase name. So language name and uppercase name, these are basically two different objects of string type, you can assume it. Okay, and then okay, null is basically not a type of variable, but you can think it of like nobody. Okay, so null basically refers to the concept of nothingness or void in programming languages. So here, like you can see, val language name, which is a string type, is assigned null. That means that initially the language name container is absolutely empty. And empty does not mean it is like double quotation and all. It is absolutely empty, like nothing is present in it. Okay, then let's dive into the concept of conditional statements. Okay, Before that, if you have not got familiarized with the conditional statement, let me give an basic example. Like in day-to-day life, we are given some scenarios where you have to choose either one condition or the other condition according to the mood you have. So assume that there is the weather thing. Like I want to know is the weather is cold or not. I asked my friend, and I was thinking like, okay, the weather is cold. Now I have two options. It could be either yes, it is cold, or no, which is not cold. So thing is, so, hello. Okay, okay. Wait a minute. Hello, is it visible? Yeah. Okay, okay. So, yes, let me. So let me start from the conditional statement again. Like I was telling you that in day-to-day life, you are given a situation where you have to choose either yes or no. So this is what is called a condition, like, and according to the condition, you have to choose either uh, one choice or the other choice. So here, as you can see, the condition is the weather cold, and there are two answers of it. If yes, then I will definitely do something, that is, I will wear a jacket. And if this two states, like wearing a jacket and not wearing a jacket, these are two choices, and that is dependent on the condition, is the weather is cold. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. This thing that I explained you is basically called as the decision making concept in terms of programming. So what hello? Okay, I'm continuing here. So yeah, if okay, but just a minute. Hello, Bhaiya. Am I audible now? Okay, okay. Okay, okay, so I was explaining you the decision making concept. So what you're given is the this piece of code, as you can understand it. There is a condition, and you have to opt a choice on the basis of different options available there. So what happens is there is a condition given, like in our example case, you can think it of as the is the weather is cold. So there we have two choices. Then we have to wear a jacket, and if no, then we don't have to wear a jacket. So here the condition is that you can relate it to the whether it is cold, and the body is wearing the jacket or not wearing the jacket. Okay. So this is the basic code block. You can see what it does is it has a main function, and then inside it prints one double equals to one. Now notice that this is double equals to, so this is not an assignment operator, rather it is comparing operator, and it will what it will give is it will compare whether the left hand side is equal to right hand side, and if it is true, then it will return true, or in computational terms you can say 1, and if it is false, then it will return 0. So what we expect this code to give the output is that it will be true. Okay, these are some of the basic relational operators, because what I used before was a basic double equals to, that is comparator operator. You can see some more, like you can compare if two things are, if one thing is less than the other, or the other thing is greater, or you can assign equal to also, and also you can see if one state is not equal to other state. So these are basically the parameters, you can say, you can provide in the condition. So these are the basic code snippets, and have a look on this. In the left hand side, I simply explained the basic program. So initially, I have initialized a traffic light color with a val, that is, the constant one, and it is data container is consisting a string that is red. One thing I would like to say that here in earlier examples, you saw that here, like you said, string is defined from the red initialize ever. So what we expect this code to give is that so this traffic light color is basically a string data type container. And okay, so coming back to this code snippet, so I have initialized it with red, and now here I have compared it if traffic light color double equals to red. Now notice that this red is different from the red initialized above. So traffic light color that contains a string that is red is being compared to a new red word actually. So don't get confused between these two red. These are quite different. So now since we know that this is true, because left hand side is red and right hand side is also red, so we print stop. And here in the right hand side you can see it is the same code, but there's something else also, the else block. Yeah, the in the else block we have written a println go. Now those of you who don't know this, like if there is condition yes, like I said, this else block does so that it can operate smoothly. So you're putting in the else part that is giving different options. And on the right hand side, you can see it is also using same if else, but in different order. Okay, so you can play with this code and definitely try it out. And this is what I was saying, like the if else structure is quite a messy structure if you see and observe it closely, because we have to declare a condition, then body. If it is not, then condition 2 body 2. If it is not again, then condition 3 body 3, and if none of them, then body 4. This is what is happening in this piece of code I'm showing. And this is the example snippet. You can see this does the same thing actually. Okay, so like you can see that this piece of code looks messy. So this is not something that reviewer would want you to write on their code base, because like for example you are going for an open source contribution and you write a lot of if and else, then definitely the reviewer would be not be happy to see such a messy code contributing to their code base. So they prefer an optimal and a cleaner way of writing the code. So we do have that option here in Kotlin, and as we get introduced to when keyword. Now when is used in conjunction with the if else statement. So what it does is in the first and foremost thing, it improves the readability. Now, so earlier, like so many else condition, now it is in that scenario. Now the code looks more simpler and quite hygiene. And what it let me show you how you have using. So this is the basic flowchart, and when statements are used in conjunction with the if else, it is not like the basic, the very basic if else. So we have to get at least more than two conditions. So what here we are doing, so we are putting when block, and inside the parameter we'll be putting the numbers like the sequence order. And here if you see, if the parameter is condition 1, then it will execute body 1. If it is condition 2, then it will execute body 2. And if it is condition 3, then it will execute body 3. So this actually goes in a sequential way, like first condition 1 is checked, then 2 and 3, just like the if else, but the thing is it is more cleaner. And this is a piece of code, like you can see the traffic light, it is same. Now it is initialized to yellow, and that val thing, that container, is passed to the when parameter, and that container gets now compared to the individual strings, that is red, yellow, green. And if it is red, then it will like the arrow mark is basically indicating the code of block. So println stop is basically the code inside the if block, if you are writing it, if you are converting it to an if block. So red, yellow, green, and if they have individual code block, and if none of them works, then invalid traffic color. Okay, and this is another example. Here you can see we are just detecting the prime numbers. That is, if it is 2, then x is a prime number between 1 to 10. If it is 3, then it is also between 1 to 10. 5 and 7 are also in 1 to 10. So this is what it is doing. And here the since x equals to 3, so it will go to the second condition and print x is a prime number between 1 and 10. However, let's optimize it more now. And why we are doing this? Because, as I said, we have to maintain the cleanness of the code structure. So what we are going to do is, now if you observe this piece of code, you can see there are a lot of uh, individual condition written like this. And here what the problem is, that we, although know that 2, 3, 5, 7 are in between 1 and 10, but we have to individually check them. So okay, let me explain you this in terms of time complexity. So assume that the two condition is running in 1 second. So if we have to check for x equal to 7, then it will first check 2, then 3, then 5, and then 7. So a total of 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 4 seconds. And 4 seconds, it's bad, trust me. So how can we optimize? We can use a basic comma actually to denote multiple conditions that correspond to the same body, because here you can see whether it is 2, 3, or 5, 7, all the body of the function is same. So let's put it inside one block now, and this is how we do it. You can see 3, 5, 7. Okay, that is the considered. Just don't look on it. Just concentrate on the 2, 3, 5, 7 line. Okay, so what happens is, now no matter you put x2 or 3 or 5 or 7, it will take 1 second. Okay, and this is good actually, because now to, like the previous example, now if you have to search 7, then we don't have to waste 4 seconds, rather we can do it in 1 second. Okay, this it reduces the time, and of course increases the cleanliness of the code structure. Okay, then comes the n keyword. Now which has the comma symbol, you can also use this keyword, because this literally you it searches something and within a particular range. Okay, uh, this is a simple code of it. What happens here is uh, we are just initializing x3 and then putting it in the x when term when block. And what happens here is, look the second line. Here what happens is 1 to 10. In 1 to 10, println x is a number between 1 to 10, but not a prime. So what happens is, whenever you hit any other number other than 2, 3, 5, and 7, then it will get executed in this block. And why is that so? Because this thing is taking in account of every integer cases, like from 1 to 10. Like previously, like we did here, is 2, 3, 5, 7. Now assume this entire thing has been coded up in a single line, that is in 1 to 10. So basically you are iterating a range now and looking for the search term. Okay, and this is the final part of if else expression. What we are doing is that, like, we have been doing a lot of if and else, so we are just putting it in one single line. What we are doing here is, message is equal to, now we are putting the condition here, and then using the word itself here. Okay, so it is like, in one line it is the entire if else block has been declared. Okay, so this is basically what it means. Well, this isn't that important, but you can use it if you want some more optimizations. Okay, have a look on this for a while. Okay, now let's move to the next concept. Null variables. Like, I have already given you an idea of null variables, but hit let's see a bit deeper about this concept. Okay, first assume. Okay, all now I want you all to assume there is a box. Okay, a simple box, and the box is named favorite actor. Okay, the box name is favorite actor. So I can give a name to that box. Okay, and like the favorite actor, that is the box itself. Okay, the favorite actor is the box, and the O, that is the data that is going inside the box. So take it like there is a box and you have to put some object inside it. So box is the favorite actor and the objects are Sandra O. But this concept of nobody or nothing or null, sorry, nobody, nothing or empty, this thing as null. So what it means to any programming compiler is that the thing is absolutely empty, there's nothing inside it. Okay, it, you can think it. So null has various of applications. Okay, first let me use the main function, and here, like what I have explained you in the previous slide, so in. Okay, so here I will have null, and so what it will be printing? It will be printing nothing, because null is nothing, right? And yeah, before moving on, like I will be saying that you can use null in most of the cases. Like if you're going to do in data structures and algorithm, then you will be also using null there to initialize the head load. And null, you can think it like, if you are still not able to understand the concept of null, you can think it as an empty space in which there exists nothing. Okay, okay, this is a piece of, now see this properly. There is a favorite actor variable, that is, now this is a variable, okay, like, and it is of string type, and it is holding that data stand. Now then I reinitialize it to null. So what do you think? Well, of course it is on the screen, but okay, let me tell you. So the thing is that, you will be getting an error that is displayed on the right hand side. Now null cannot be a value of a non-null type string. This is what the compiler is gonna throw the error. So why is that so? The reason is that the favorite actor is a string type, and you cannot reassign it because it is a non-nullable type, right? Every integer, string, float, double, these are all non-nullable types. and you cannot assign it to a null type because null itself, like I suggested already, is a kind of data type you can think. Okay, so it is like changing the state, like integer to a null, like you cannot destroy something. Okay, that is the thing what is happening here. So what we can do, uh, it is like technically wrong because we cannot do anything here. This is basic legally. What I want to show is that a non-nullable type like other data types cannot be initialized to a null. Okay, because comparing like connecting it to the box, if there is a box and there is object, then you can then never say that it is empty. Okay, because it has something. And for this instance, it is Sandra O. Okay. So like the previous case, let me now explain you what are the things that happened. That was non-nullable type initialized to null, and that is why it was showing an error. Okay, so this is what is written here. You can read it anytime. The slash will provide it. So okay, now observe this piece of code. Now suppose we do want to now initialize the null. Okay, now we do want that box to get empty. So what we can do here? This is the thing. Like in this piece of code and the one I showed you here, can you notice the difference? See this? Have a look on it, and this. Well, if you look closely, then it is the question mark. Yeah, and this question mark operator is what is helping us to define null now. So initially println will print Sandra out, but now it is null, and now it will not throw error. Why? Because this question mark denote to the compiler that this favorite actor thing can either hold the object or it can be empty. In this scenario, what the compiler said is that there is a box and it must hold object. But here we are giving an giving a option that it can be null also. So this is what the question mark is all about. It gives the container an option that it can be null too or empty too. Okay, so this is all about that null function. Now let's dive into the concept of functions. Now functions is basically piece of code that you want to run in your program or single times references. It is basically a piece of code that is executed to one line only because that one line corresponds to that piece of code. Okay. So let's discuss about the types like the store function and variable. So this store function, as you can see, it stores the entire piece of code into a variable. Okay. So inside the main block, you can see there is a val trick function and it is executing trick. So fun, then we have declared the trick function and it is printing the no tricks. Okay, so what happens is whenever the function gets initialized to this println. Okay, so what happens is basically it prints it. Okay, however, there is an error here. Yeah, there is an error, and what is it? This error. So function invocation trick expected. Now what? Why this happened? The reason is, as you can see here, this is a function trick, okay, and we have written some code, but inside the main, we can never access this because it does not have a scope function resolution that operate function resolution operator. You can think it as like a key. Assume that this trick function is a room and the val trick function that sorry what I said was assume that trick is a room and trick function is basically a person and he wants to open this room trick, but he does not have the key, so he can never open it. And how can we provide key? This is the symbol. Now you see there are two colon marks, and this is what is called a reference operator, a function reference operator, using which you can access the trick function now. So basically this corresponds to the key. Okay. Okay, so enough of the basic concept. Now let me give you some of the objectives. So this is the first question. You can think it up for a minute. Then I will be telling you the solution. So what the question states is, write a program that prints the summary message based on the number of notification that you receive. The message should include the exact number of notification when there are less than 100 notifications, And if it is greater than 100 notification, then 99 plus, like this basic WhatsApp. If you've been using, then it shows it greater than 100 and it will show 99 plus and all. Okay. Now you don't have to show exact notification. Okay, so let me be clear about it. You just have to just print it. Okay, because this is what it will be testing your coding up knowledge that you have learned till now. Like the syntaxes, have you got familiarized with them? Use. Okay, so the hint is it uses if else. And let me explain it to you also, because the rest questions I will be telling you to do yourself, but this one is something I will be explaining. Okay, so here's the thing. What you want to do is you have to put two variables. There is morning notification and evening notification, and then you have to pass it as a parameter to the function print notification summary. Okay, and you can just fill in the code. I will just be telling you the solution. You can do it later. So what happens is you have to fill the function, and what you are going to do is you have to write a if else condition, that if it is less, if you have to take a counter, that is a variable type counter, and initialize it to 0, then you have to increment the counter one by one, and then you have to put a if else condition. If counter is less than 100, then it will just show the normal messages, the message count. Okay, and if in the else block, what you are going to do, you will be simply saying that the message has exceeded 99 plus. Okay, so this is very basic. There are some more questions also like this. Here also the same thing, you can try it on yourself. Now this has, now let me tell you that this uses if else, like that entire ladder. Okay, by the way, if I haven't mentioned, then if else if, that is called as a ladder structure. Okay, because it checks individually all the conditions. And this is the question designed for you. You can try it on the code lab. I'll be sharing the link at the end of the meet. Yeah, this piece of code will be given in the main block. You have to just write the function part inside, like the code using the if else and all what you have learned using your logic. Okay, and this is similarly degree Fahrenheit. Here also we have given everything. Just you have to try it out. Okay, now moving on to the concept of object-oriented programming. So object-oriented programming is like imagining the entire world object and code it up in the computational terms. Okay, like if there is a car, then we can think it has parameters like wheels, windows, seat, etc., and these are its parameter. So we can think, if we can put all the cars in a line, then that is a collection of cars. So the collection of cars is basically a class. So classes are something that holds object of similar type. Here the object is the car, so it holds the car object, which is all of the similar type. And the car individually is an object, and it has different parameters, that like what I have initially said, variables and functions. So variables can be linked to the parameters. Okay, like where wheel, where seat, windshield, etc., etc. And now how we can link the function part. The car actually works, so it just moves, in a straight way. So that is the functioning, that is what the car does, right? It moves, and that is quite similar to the object oriented world functions. So we can think it like this. I hope I made you understand, because it is a bit, if you're not understanding, then revise the session again, and I think you will get what I'm trying to say. Okay, so basically putting out a definition, classes are structures which stores objects of similar type, and objects is a completely new entity. This is what the programmatic definition is. Okay, here I have given the same thing. There is a class, sorry, the class has a name and a body. In the name you can cite a collection, like in the previous example I have said collection, car collection, that is the name, and in a body you can write the individual objects, that is car 1, car 2, car 3, etc. Okay, and here after you have declared a class, okay, and you have declared a class and defined individual objects, then inside the main, now you have to make class object, like you have now your task is to make a car. Okay, So what you're doing here, val name equals to class name. Now connecting it to the example, we can say val car 5, suppose val car 5 equals to class collection. Okay, so using this way we are actually making a car object with all the parameters and functions attached to it, like it can move, it has wheels and all, etc, etc. So this is what it means in programmatic terms and also in the object oriented way. So here you can see this is the basic. Here I have a smart device, imagine it as a phone or TV, whatever. So here the device name first is Android TV, category entertainment. Now here the inside the smart devices, like devices can be anything, right? Like phones, laptops, TVs. Here we have just made one object, that is the TV object, and first we have given a name, then we have given a category and device status, like it is on or off, and then we have attached some function like what does the TV does. You can turn it on or turn it off. So we have attached also the function turn it off, the smart device is on, that's what it prints, and turn it off prints smart device is off. And now you see in the main block how it is called. First we call the smart device. So this is the name that we are going to use in the main to access this object Android TV. So we are calling that object name via the entire set, that smart device entire set. Okay, then use, now using this object we can individually access the different parameters. Like if you want to know the device name, you have to just put this dollar symbol, and uh, then using that object dot name. So what it means, that using that object you're accessing that name. Using that object you can activate the TV, or using that object you can active turn off the TV. Okay, so this is the power of objects. Okay, now the constructors are also very important thing. So you can think constructors as initiators. Okay, what does that mean is whenever a class collection is made. Okay, like earlier I have said car collection. So whenever that car collection is made, there is a maker. Okay, so somebody who made that car. So you can think constructors as the makers. What it does, it makes the car without color and without bump in the tires, you can say. So it just makes the outline. Okay, so that it looks like a car. And then the designing part is done by the object that I have said earlier. And so this is how you can relate it. Okay, the constructors are basically the builders of object. Okay, so here you can say the simple code structure. Inside the constructor, we are giving the parameters like name, category, and status code. Okay, so like now the constructor is the guy who is gonna make this a car object using these three things. So what he does, he just puts device status when status code, and what he does is for making the function operational. If zero, it is offline. If one, it is online. Else unknown. Okay, so this is the use of if else and when. Okay, like I've said, and then it can also initialize the name and category here also, but here we haven't showed it to you. So what I want to say is that constructor is the guy who makes the things appear first, and constructor is the block of code that executes in the class first. Okay, so that was all for it. You can try out the examples I have given, and that's it for the session today. I hope you have fun encouraging the community of Android developers. Thank you.